Stop. $750,000. The math checks out. 4% withdrawal rate. $30,000 per year from your portfolio. Add Social Security, average around $22,000 per year. And you are sitting at roughly $52,000 per year. That is the median household income in this country. Not rich. Not poor. Fine. You can stop. You made it. Here is a number the spreadsheet never includes. $172,500. The average lifetime healthcare bill waiting for you on the other side of the exit door. According to Fidelity. And that is only after you qualify for Medicare at age 65. It does not include what happens if you leave before 65. It does not include long-term care. And it does not include the part where the market decides. Your first year of retirement is a good year to test the 40% drawdown scenario. $750,000 is not too small to retire on. It is exactly large enough to feel like you can. And that is the most expensive psychological state in all of retirement planning. Stick with me for 10 minutes. Half a tank in the mountains with a leak. According to the Employee Benefit Research Institute, 46% of people who retired in 2025 did so earlier than they planned. The median expected retirement age among workers, 65. The median actual retirement age, 62. That 3-year gap has been consistent across multiple decades of data. Factors entirely outside people's control drove 76% of early retirements in 2025. Health problems, layoffs, company downsizing, caregiving obligations. You built your retirement plan, assuming you would fill the tank all the way at 65 or 67. Those final 3 to 5 years are not just accumulation years. They are typically your highest earning years. Your maximum for 401k contribution years. Your last real window to catch up. Lose them, and you are not pulling out of the driveway at $750,000. You might be leaving at $560,000. And doing it 3 years earlier than your model assumed. Which means the money has to fund 3 additional years of withdrawals you never planned for. You think the problem is that you need to save more. The actual problem is that most retirement math is built on an assumption that you will leave on your own schedule. That has less than a 50% probability of being true. When you are accumulating, working, contributing, a market crash is mostly a psychological challenge. You are still contributing. A 30% drop means you are buying shares at a discount. Time and math work for you. In retirement, those forces reverse. You are selling shares to fund your living expenses. When the market drops 30%, and you pull your annual withdrawal anyway, you are selling a larger percentage of a smaller portfolio. Those shares are gone forever. They cannot participate in the recovery. The hole they create is structural. Someone who retired in January 2000 with $1 million and a 4% withdrawal rate walked straight into the dot-com crash and the 2008 financial crisis within their first decade. Even with the eventual recovery, the early withdrawals during those 2 drawdowns permanently impaired the portfolio. A 37% crash in year 1, which the market delivered in 2008, drops your $750,000 thoroughly for $72,000. You still need $30,000 to live. That is now a withdrawal rate approaching 6.4%. The biggest threat to the 4% rule is not a bad average return over 30 years. It is a market crash in the first 5 years of retirement. According to Fidelity's 2025 retiree healthcare cost estimate, the average 65-year-old who retired in 2025 will spend an average of $172,500 on healthcare and medical expenses throughout retirement, not including long-term care. A middle-of-the-road couple retiring at 65 needs nearly $400,000, earmarked solely for medical and health costs. 400,000 UTO for 750,000 portfolio. That is more than half the portfolio. Before housing, food, transportation, or anything that looks like retirement. If you retire at age 62, the statistical median, you have a 3-year gap before Medicare even begins. At the end of 2025, the enhanced premium tax credits, ACA subsidies, that had lowered premiums since 2021, expired and were not renewed for 2026. For early retirees, the subsidy cliff at 400% of the federal poverty level is back. A couple retiring at age 62, with no employer coverage, on a silver level ACA plan, pays about $1,400 per month in combined premiums. Over 3 years, roughly $50,400. Before deductibles, before co-pays. By the time they reach Medicare at 65, the couple could have spent over $70,000 on healthcare alone during those pre-Medicare years. $70,000 off the top, before a single retirement expense beyond healthcare has been covered. Half a tank now has less fuel than you thought, before you even reach the first mountain. IRMAA, income-related monthly adjustment amount. A surcharge Medicare adds to your Part B and Part D premiums if your income exceeds certain thresholds. These surcharges are determined by the Social Security Administration based on modified adjusted gross income from 2 years prior. Here is what actually happens to the careful retiree who does everything right. He retires at age 62. He has $750,000 in a traditional 401k. He knows he should start Roth conversions to reduce his future required minimum distributions and manage his long-term tax exposure, which is genuinely smart planning. He converts $100,000 in year 1. 2 years later, when Medicare begins at age 65, the Social Security Administration looks at his income from 2 years prior, $100,000 in Roth conversion income, $30,000 in portfolio withdrawals, roughly $18,000 in taxable Social Security income, his modified adjusted gross income, approximately $148,000. He receives a Medicare bill that is significantly higher than he planned for, based on income that no longer reflects his situation, because the 2-year look back captured the year he was optimizing his tax position and treated it as evidence of high income. Honey, I went just a few thousand over the IRMAA bracket. How much did that cost us? Several $1,000s in extra Medicare premiums. The penalty is almost as large as the income that triggered it. Welcome to the system. Level 1. Calculator math. Multiply expected spending by 25. Apply 4%. Get a target number. Useful for general orientation. Useless for actual planning. Models one variable, your average return, assuming all others stay constant. Level 2. Stress test math. Take the level 1 number. Run it through for stress conditions simultaneously. A forced early exit 3 years ahead of plan. A 30 to 40% market crash in year 1 or 2. Healthcare costs running $100,000 to $300,000 over what you budgeted. and 3% annual inflation compounding over 20+ years. At level 2, $750,000 does not survive all 4 conditions simultaneously. Level 3. The system, not a static number. A dynamic architecture. A buffer account. 2 to 3 years of living expenses. In liquid stable instruments. Exists specifically to prevent you from selling equities during a bad year 1 scenario. A dynamic withdrawal approach. Reduces distributions in down markets and rebuilds reserves in up markets. Instead of treating 4% as a rigid floor. A social security bridge strategy. Funds your living expenses from portfolio withdrawals during the gap years between retirement and age 70, in exchange for a permanently higher monthly benefit that begins at age 70 and inflates with COLA for the rest of your life. Step 1. Price your healthcare before you price your retirement. Not a round number estimate. Go to healthcare.gov, https://healthcare.gov, today. Price a silver plan for your exact age and zip code. For the year you plan to retire. Add realistic deductibles and out-of-pocket at moderate utilization. Build that number into your retirement budget as a fixed cost. Then check whether your withdrawal strategy keeps you below the ACA subsidy cliff, which in 2026 is $62,600 of modified adjusted gross income for a single person. Step 2. Run the year 1 crash simulation right now. Take your projected portfolio at your target retirement date. Drop it by 35% in month 1. Maintain your planned annual withdrawal for the full first year. Check your portfolio balance at year 5 under that scenario. If it is below 55% of your starting balance, you do not have enough buffer for sequence of returns risk. The fix: a liquidity buffer of 2 to 3 years of expenses in stable instruments. Step 3. Replace your retirement number with a retirement system. A single target number, $750,000.1 million. $1.5 million. Is a psychological destination. It does not model your withdrawal rate as a function of market conditions. It does not account for IRMAA as a function of your distribution strategy. It does not price healthcare inflation versus general inflation. The difference between a retirement plan built around a number and a retirement plan built around a system is roughly equivalent to the difference between navigating with a destination and navigating with a map. $750,000 creates more retirement anxiety than almost any other number in the entire financial planning landscape, because it is exactly convincing enough to stop you from building the thing you actually need. The road demands a system, not a destination. A map, not a compass. Mountain passes, not flat Kansas highway. Half a tank, not a full tank. Here is what you will do right now. 1. Hit subscribe, because the algorithm will not show you the next video if you do not. 2. Calculate your healthcare cost for your age, for your zip code, tonight. 3. Send this video to one person who says, "I hit my number." Tell them the system matters more than the number, because the math checks out. The road does not. See you at the next pass.